Hello, my friends. Welcome to episode 25 of Let's Talk Soul to Soul. I'm your host, Annalisa, joining you live from my home in Banff, Alberta. I'm very excited to welcome today's special guest, my soul sister, Sarah, who I know is anticipating this conversation. And I see Sarah has already sent a wave and a request. Fantastic. So as we are connecting, my friends, grab a hot or a cold drink so that you can join us in creating this sacred space where magical things happen, like Sarah showing up here.
Yay!
Congratulations, my friend. Oh, I'm so proud
Oh,
of you.
thank you. It's so awesome to be here with you. Thank you for the invitation.
Oh, Sarah. Thank you. And you're joining us all the way from, where's your home?
I am on the east coast of New Brunswick.
It's amazing, really, that we can connect through these means that are not really natural to a lot of us.
Yes.
I know for you and I, but look at us. Here we are. And welcome to all who are joining. If you don't know me, I'm Annalisa, and I am honored to have my soul sister, Sarah Hardy Walsh, joining us today for episode 25 of Let's Talk Soul to Soul.
Amazing.
And really, Sarah, and for all of you, please, we want this to be just a really comfortable time for you. Get cozy. Imagine that we're together, because I truly believe that we are energetically creating sacred spaces through setting an intentions of just being here together,
Absolutely.
of sharing stories, messages, missions, whatever it is that's on our hearts. And honestly, Sarah, that's what Let's Talk Soul to Soul is all about. It's sprung from that deep desire to connect. And when traditional ways were kind of cut off from me, we just needed to find new ways
New ways. Absolutely.
that are soul aligned. And Sarah, you are one of the people who stood out for me, who held the hand of light for me at a moment when I needed that. And so those joining, please feel free to participate in any way with this, in this conversation. Share where you're from, questions, comments. We'll have some time afterwards for that, or throughout. Please feel like you're a part of this. And really, all I'm doing is shining the spotlight on people like you and me who have something to share and maybe don't even realize that. And it is through that energy that we are creating possibilities, not only just in ourselves, but in others.
Absolutely.
Sarah, one of the people who was a guest and is a soul sister is Lori. She's the founder of the Merkaba Health Collective. And as a result of us meeting and having conversations, she's now partnered with Let's Talk Soul to Soul and offered a beautiful discount for health practitioners of all modalities who are interested in joining her community.
Amazing.
It's a holistic health directory across Canada and globally. So I'll put some notes in when I do a little write-up for this. Sarah, you'll also be able to share this video. I've learned how to do that.
Yay!
So, you know, for all those who are here with us, please know that you have that invitation as well to share this message. And if you're ever interested in having a conversation, you're welcome to connect with me. So I'm going to give a little bit of background about you, Sarah. There's so much that fascinates me, intrigues me, and that I could go on and on, but to quickly summarize before I hand it over. So you and I connected virtually, and it was through our involvement with a passionate, fiery, like-minded community of entrepreneurs, many trailblazing, many finding their way in a world that, and still are, in a world that doesn't really make sense.
Yeah.
But committed to this path of living true and living free. And in that, being in the presence of people with whom your nervous system feels safe.
Yes.
And your authentic self shines is, to me, one of the most underrated contributors to not just healing on a very deep level, but beyond that, to really thriving.
Absolutely.
And I truly believe we're in this time of blossoming, of creating. And when I see what you're doing, you were what I needed at that moment. You would participate in just with comments, you'd send little emojis. You didn't maybe even realize the impact, Sarah. And I want to thank you. I want to thank you. And many of my guests are here as this is an act of gratitude for you coming into my life, parachuting in.
Yes.
As like a trail angel. And you are that for so many others, Sarah.
Thank you.
So when I see, you know, I didn't take me long to realize that nurturing sacred spaces is one of your superpowers. It's one of your gifts, and you are devoted to using them. Your gifts, your experiences, and your ever expanding knowledge, your wisdom to nourish women transitioning to motherhood and beyond.
Yeah.
As a naturopathic doctor, a lactation consultant, a mothering guide, your well-rooted mama programs offer this refreshing, revolutionary, I would say, framework for cultivating calm, clarity, and confidence during motherhood based on nervous system healing, support, and knowledge. You talk about this ecosystem. So needed during this time of unpredictability and of uncertainty. It's an honor, Sarah, to shine the spotlight on your mission. Whatever is on your heart today, I invite you to let it flow.
Beautiful. Thank you for
you.
this invitation and for having me here. I guess a place to start would be with my own journey and
Yeah.
what sort of brought me to this place of working with and supporting mothers in that transition to motherhood.
Yeah.
And a portion of it began with my own motherhood and my own transition, and realizing now as I looked back what supported me through challenging times. And that was a call back into myself, into my own intuition and inner wisdom, no matter what I was hearing from
Yeah.
others places and spaces, and maybe a mom's group online, or a gathering in person, or different experts that I was encountering as a new mom, and navigating all of those voices and opinions and advice and all of those sorts of things, and really questioning if what I was doing and how I was approaching things was the right way.
Yeah.
And that ultimately, I can very clearly remember a moment sitting in the dark in my son's room in a rocking chair, rocking with him on my chest, and just breathing and thinking, no, I know. Like, I can take all of this information, all of this advice, and I have a place to filter it through. And that is my own heart, my own knowing, um, and to be able to choose from that space, to kind of be able to gather information, but then make a choice from a heart-centered and grounded space, so that I could feel confident in knowing what I was choosing for myself and my son at that time was what was right for us. So that was a really big piece. And then looking back now on what else brought me through a lot of the challenges that come up, because let's face it, mothering in general is one wild ride.
Yes.
But that
Yes.
transition to motherhood definitely amplifies that even more. And so now looking back at those early weeks and months, what really brought me through was the community of support that I had really gathered. And so I knew, no matter what unfolded, for example, during labor and birth, and let me tell you, it was not the one I intended to have. Or what unfolded in those early hours and days postpartum, I knew that I had a beautiful team of humans around me, friends and family members and colleagues and care providers and that sort of thing, that I could reach out to for the support and the guidance that I needed. And so those pieces have really, really informed sort of the framework within which I work with mothers now. And that's really helping them to gather reliable sources of information if they're looking for information, because there's so much that is available to us now, at our fingertips in the middle of the night when we're awake with a baby.
Yes.
And so helping women connect with reliable sources of information, supporting them to connect with some steadiness, and if needed, some reconnection with their own wisdom, and also providing some guidance and support around gathering that village that we all hear. It takes a village to raise a child. And so often, despite that popular saying, a lot of new moms are navigating that journey in quite a bit of isolation, alone by themselves for, even several hours a day. So that's been a big part. My own journey has been a big part of what has guided me to offering what I do now. And in part of my own learning, coming across the term matrescence, which is not familiar to folks. And so it is a term that I try to share as much as possible. And those who are listening now or to the recording, thinking of matrescence as a human developmental stage, adolescence. So, all of us have probably navigated that life transition from childhood to adulthood. And you can think of all of the shifts and changes that happened that time. There was big shifts in hormones. There were shifts in your brain and your nervous system. There were shifts in your identity, in how you related to yourself and other people, you know, in so many things. And the same kind of thing is
Yeah.
happening when a woman transitions to motherhood.
Mm.
So again,
Mm.
there's big changes in hormones. There's big changes in the brain and the nervous system, in how she sees herself and other people, in her, at the foundation, her identity, how she relates to herself
Yeah.
and other people. There's big shifts in priorities in
Yeah.
life, when we transition through that time. And all of that is happening in the ecosystem of having to care for and nurture this vulnerable tiny human. So it's, a huge, huge change on
Yes.
so many levels that we're journeying through, and also taking on that responsibility of nurturing a little one. And so so that's been an interesting journey, kind of diving in a little bit more to what that process might like
Yes.
and feel like, and understanding what a mother's needs
Mm.
are through that time. And again, it comes back to needing to have that connection and that trust in her own instincts and intuition and inner wisdom, a need to be surrounded by other supportive humans,
Yeah.
who are going to kind of hold us and care for us and nurture us as we have all of these things unfolding,
Yeah.
and to a certain extent unraveling, it seems. It can feel like a really disorienting time, for new mums as they're kind of navigating those early weeks and months and even years. So that process of matrescence, some of the research shows us, can last 2 to 3 years. And so we hear,
Right.
most commonly, the kind of medical definition of postpartum is that first 6 weeks. Maybe we'll talk about the first year after a baby is born, but all of that shifting and changing,
Yeah.
is happening for much, much longer than that. So, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow, Sarah, and we've had some new guests joining us, and I really feel your words as you're sharing your story, and those who have just joined, we will send out a recording as well for anything that you've missed. But Sarah, you sharing your experience is so powerful, and this idea that we're not meant to journey alone.
Mhm.
These transitions, these passages are truly sacred.
They are. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And these kinds of conversations, just you saying, I'm going to tell you, I'm not a mother in that sense.
Yeah.
I feel a deep sense of connection to all.
Mm-hmm.
And in some ways, I've become a mother to my mother now.
Yeah.
And as you're speaking and you're talking about this unraveling and this reorienting and all of that, I see that your message actually transcends different stages from beginning to end in so
Absolutely.
many ways.
Yes. Yeah. 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 And that kind of approach, or I guess, yeah, that framework
Yeah,
that I meant around kind of gathering the knowledge from those
yeah,
reliable sources and filtering it through that inner knowing, and feeling some steadiness and groundedness in that knowing, but then also being surrounded by support and care, those are all things that can nurture and guide us through anything that feels big.
Yes.
Kind of big change or transition, whether it's one that we've chosen or one that's been chosen for us. Whether it's one that we've, a journey that we've stepped into of our own volition, or one that the world, this crazy upside down world that we're in, has presented to us. And yeah.
Sarah, that is so beautifully said. And it's that type of, I think, connection that we have that, again, transcends our age, stage of life, our background, our status. These conversations allow us to, to form those connections as we curiously think about our own situations. And that's what you're doing. I'm going to tell you right now, Sarah, as we were speaking, I got a call in from the care home where my mom is. And it felt almost like, as you were talking about a child, right? That kind of feeling. But having practices and connection to self and that sense of being grounded and able to withstand these shakes that come at us and unexpected phone calls and whatever else is truly what helps keep us anchored through the inevitable, like you say. Some of changes we choose, we step into, others come at us.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it reminds me, quite some time ago, I was exploring the concept of resilience, that kind of, being able to stand grounded amidst the storms of life, or if those storms happen to knock us down, how the resources that we have for nurturing and, kind of coming back from that challenge. And I came across a really interesting piece of research because from my background as a naturopathic doctor, I find myself looking to nature a lot when I have questions. And so this particular piece of research took a look. It was a group of urban planners who had gathered this research, and they were looking at what was it that helped trees be resilient in big storms. So particularly trees in urban centers, when things like hurricanes blew through, what was it that supported their resilience? And it was things like the trees that were most deeply and widely rooted were the most resilient. The trees that were able to kind of flexibly bend and sway amidst the storm were the most resilient. Those that were surrounded by a diversity of other species and ages of trees were the most resilient. And in those urban settings, those trees that were cared for, so, pruned when they needed to be, fed when they needed to be, held, when they needed to be, they were the ones that were the most resilient. And so it's all things that we can look at no matter what kind of storms are blowing through life, and including the tremendous disorienting storm of matrescence. And, how can we cultivate practices of rooting in deeply and widely? How can we feel nourished, as much as possible? Who is there to support us and tend to us in, a diverse community of folks? Who is, in what ways are we nourishing our nervous systems so that we're able to respond to those stressors and have that bend and that sway and that flexibility to the things that are coming into life. So, yeah.
So much wisdom, Sarah. So much. You know, you and this idea of being well rooted. Just as an aside, Sarah, I'm doing my forest therapy training.
Oh,
And
amazing.
when you brought up trees, I was like, I can't wait to hear where Sarah's going with this. But this connection to that deep, that inner wisdom that is there, that is present, that there's so many distractions, as you spoke about, so much information coming at us from all these sources, but so much held within and stepping out into nature in some form
Yes.
can be deeply soothing to that nervous system.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In the space of, mothers and babies, we talk a
Yes.
lot about co-regulation of that nervous system. So for babies, that nervous system isn't developed enough for them to feel soothed without the presence of someone they know and trust. For,
Yes.
for us as adults, even when we're not surrounded by other humans that we can co-regulate with, we have nature. Nature has this like beautiful, deep, vast, steady nervous system. And so having that connection with trees, with earth, with forest is such a beautiful way to co-regulate when we need to have that kind of connection.
So beautiful, Sarah. And one thing that you said here that I wanted to comment on was it just relates to this because that relationship you're speaking of with mother and child is so foundational to planting the seeds of those roots and then cultivating. If I could share, which resonated so deeply with me as we talk of roots and this process of excavation and unearthing that you've done and that you companion others on, you say, here's what I know now. For children, families, and communities to be healthy and well, mothers need to be healthy and well. And for mothers to be healthy and well, they need to be held by a nurturing, supportive community and be connected with their inner knowing so they feel more rested and resourced. And when they feel more rested and resourced, they expand their resilience and capacity to break free from the stories and beliefs of what mothering should be in a world filled with unpredictability and uncertainty.
Yeah,
There it is.
there it is. Yeah.
So you've spoken of some of the ways that you help to nourish. Can you give us an idea of more of these offerings that you're putting out there? I mean, your voice, Sarah, we need more people to be in your presence, to hear what you're saying. And, even my friends at Caregivers Alberta have joined. And there are many parents who are in caregiving roles and feeling this sense of unpredictability of the storm and how can I ground and be rooted and where's my community? And I'm so grateful that they've also joined because there's so many out there who are seeking,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Yes. So
Yeah.
please tell us a little more of your other offerings.
Absolutely. Um, so, just in general and
Yeah.
simply, um, from a free perspective, connecting here on Instagram. Sometimes I will share some different kind of simple practices that I'm integrating for myself or that I'm often offering to clients that I'm working with. And then that that reliable source of information when it comes to all the things that can come up in that transition to motherhood, preparing for labor and birth and breastfeeding and, navigating sleep and all those kinds of things that can come up through that time. And I have a relatively new group
Yeah.
program has recently been launched. It's called Well-Rooted Breastfeeding. And so it does include the kind of how-tos and
Yeah.
information side of getting started on your breastfeeding journey and navigating some of the common challenges that come up. But it also includes some guidance around just some simple practices, again, for kind of steadying and rooting into that steadiness and ways of exploring how to cultivate that village. So similar to how I had described, reflecting on my own journey, what
Yeah.
had brought me through was that group, that community of people that I was able to gratefully surround myself with.
Mm.
And so some guidance and strategies for exploring that if it's something that you don't already have as part of your journey. And also within that program is an online space for folks included in that program to connect that's away from social media and provides us an opportunity to kind of gather and support and that kind of thing. So that is a monthly membership. I call it a mini membership because it's very low cost. It's just $9 per month to access that program. And then just the one-to-one consultations. So for women who are, traversing that transition to motherhood, so from pregnancy through postpartum and into those early years of parenting, the one-to-one sessions really provide us the opportunity to customize some guidance and support and strategies for however that journey is looking for folks. And that's something that can be offered virtually across geography.
Yes.
And here in southeastern New Brunswick, I offer a lot of my in-person services by house call. So I'm going to see families in their homes and work with them in their own spaces.
Oh, Sarah, what just came to mind is like, wow, what a beautiful gift you would be for me, for example, when my sister was navigating being pregnant later in life and on all of that, like in her 40s, a beautiful gift being able to meet with someone like you.
Yes.
Can people do like gift certificates if
Absolutely. Yep. If you want to just reach out through direct message or through through my website, we can definitely make arrangements for that too. Yes, it's something that I've often contemplated. We think of when families are preparing to welcome a new baby, we have baby showers, and so we're showering parents with all the things that we think that they'll need during those early infant stages. And one of the conversations I often have with clients is, honestly, all you really need is a safe place for your baby to sleep, your breasts producing milk, some diapers, and maybe a few pieces of clothing, and a car seat, to get from one place to another. If you're riding in a vehicle, all of this extra stuff we don't necessarily need. And so, so for folks who are out there who have pregnant moms and new parents in their lives, considering offering a contribution towards or a gift certificate towards some kind of support, whether it be support through me or maybe it's a postpartum doula or, a house cleaner or a meal prep service or anything that will bring support to that family while they're navigating, they're having that focus on nourishing and caring for that little one and nourishing and caring for that mom too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this. I love where this is going, Sarah, because it's questioning and seeing things differently. We don't have to repeat the old stories, the old ways of doing things.
Mhm.
And through these conversations, normalizing that experience for new mamas, even mothers who have children already, but are now saying, you know what, there's got to be
There's
another way,
gotta be another way.
right?
Yes.
We want you to know that you're not alone.
Mhm.
And if you're feeling something in your heart, something just seems off, it just doesn't seem right, or you're like, what if? What if? Or says who?
Says who? Yes, that's a fantastic question. Yes.
Then why not explore it?
Mhm.
Why not explore it? And Sarah, I'm going to tell you something here too. This Says Who question, I have a book behind me called Says Who by Ora Madrich. And it was one method of thoughtful and mindful inquiry into my life and what was happening that was keeping me stuck in this victim mindset, which allowed me really to look at that thought. So Says Who I have to mother this way, for example.
Yes.
I have to be super mama. Says who? You could put in any question you're dealing with and ask yourself, well, who's telling me this?
Mhm.
Am I hearing it? And if I am from out there, does it actually make me feel better?
Yes.
Does it work for me?
Yes.
Do I like feeling like I need to be super mama for everyone and forget myself? Is it consuming me, this thought?
Yes.
And if it is, you kind of go through this systematic process, these questions. And for me, in my life, it came to a point where I was like, yeah, oh my gosh, yeah, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel right. Like I have to, for example, save my mother,
Mm.
protect my mother as she's aging and dealing with dementia. Just, it allowed me to say, okay, well, am I ready to release this? And if so, what am I going to replace it with? What am I going to replace it with? And this is where I look to you and say, here is that bridge. Because we can't just, boom, change. It takes time, this transformation actually, right? And through these transitions, it's more than just, putting a new outfit on and getting our
Yes.
hair done and putting some makeup on, whatever, and strutting out there. But it's so much deeper. And I know you do a lot of that work, like you were saying, that connecting to that inner knowing so that we can take that step into uncertainty, but knowing that, guess what, we actually aren't alone. And when we're guided by that deeper sense that, yeah, there's something here, this path,
Yeah.
that's when these connections happen,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And approaching those questions with
Yes.
curiosity, with non-judgment,
Mhm.
with compassion. And I think mamas can be so hard on themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yes. Coming to that place. Yeah. With curiosity and compassion. Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, yeah. Yeah. And I love that question of who says. I really, really do. Because I think that more often than not, even with the mom guilt or the
Yes.
that you say, that you mentioned that moms are hard on themselves. A lot of those voices, a lot of those stories aren't our own. They're
Mhm.
they're ones that have come from somewhere outside of us and told us of how things should be or what we should be doing.
Mhm.
So yeah, having that compassion and that curiosity around, what do I actually need? What does my baby actually need? What do I value? What's important to me? And do these things actually fit?
Yes.
Yeah. And I love too how you mentioned, Annalisa, about, you know, pulling out or releasing things and planting those new seeds. Because if we're not planting those new seeds, those, you know, cultivating those inner practices,
Yeah,
that nature, you know, providing that nourishment in some way, then the weeds will just grow back.
exactly. And that sanctuary that we're creating,
Yeah.
we need to tend to. And that's what, I think of this gift to mothers. And if they have some of these practices to help tend, as their child grows, as they grow into their own different stages, when a child leaves, for example, to perhaps, move away from home, that's a whole other
It is.
transition.
Yeah.
But these practices, they're steady.
They're steady. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
It's so interesting, Sarah, I'm just thinking of the journey. There's been a lot of time and opportunity and the gift of reflecting, I think is one that has come out of this time of awakening
Yeah.
and seeing that, there are ways that we can come together. We can heal as individuals, but collectively and create this beautiful, brilliant, bright future, not only for ourselves, but generations to come.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Sarah, it is such an honor to have you here. I've totally lost track of time.
That's, yeah. It's flown by.
And, and I'm just looking to see, I'm trying to scan. We've had just beautiful soul family, the soul brothers and sisters join us. I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss any questions
Beautiful.
that might have come up. And so I invite, even though I'm on second base here, rounding second base of this whole Instagram thing, Sarah. So I haven't quite mastered all these, finding things quickly. But if anyone does have a question, please, you're welcome to add that in the comment box. And Sarah, I invite you, if there's anything coming to you that you would like to wrap up with or share, you're welcome to do that. I'm just so honored and grateful that you took this leap of faith with me, soul sister.
Absolutely. It's fantastic. Let me see here. Hmm. I guess if folks have any curiosity around learning more about what I'm offering and what I'm doing, to follow me here on Instagram, reach out by direct message if you want. I have a few free resources that I have for particularly for pregnant moms as they're preparing for labor and birth and postpartum. So I'm more than happy to share those with you if you want to reach out. One on hand expression and prenatal colostrum collection. One on some common resources that I'm often sending to in preparation for labor and birth, and another that has a few of my favorite postpartum recipes to share with friends and family and help help stock your freezer ahead of when baby arrives. So those are all free resources if you would like to reach out.
Oh, Sarah, I just, so appreciate how you've just, you are this companion, I feel like you're sitting, like I said, I'm not expecting, but I feel that sense of you sitting with that mom
Yeah.
as that companion, not trying to fix, not trying to tell someone this is the way, but offering through holding that space.
Yes.
And sharing aspects of your story, resources, tips that have worked for you.
Yeah.
No, it's so often the who, not the how, that really can help us move to that next place or step more into that light or ease that stress, that anxiety.
Yeah.
So Sarah, you are one of those who's, you are one of those trail angels.
Thank you.
And I really encourage those who are listening, to consider how you can pass on the gift of this beautiful, well-rooted mama, this fellow seeker, though. And that's what you are, Sarah.
Yeah.
Someone who doesn't just come saying, this is the way, right? There's just this authenticity about you, this sincerity, this warmth, this element of trust that is so important. So
Thank you.
I feel like I'm handing off my beloved to you, and I would do that. And I would do that without hesitation, Sarah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, soul sister. I look forward to any opportunity to collaborate with you, with your mamas, with your community, and you here in this space. We are one. Like the
Absolutely.
way forward.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you all, and many blessings to you on your soulful adventures. Until next time. Ciao, my friends. Congratulations. So proud of you.
Thank you.
Hey, and everyone who's taken a leap into motherhood and everything else, right?
Absolutely.
We got this.
Yes.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.